Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
When I read your story, I was really fascinated but I was trying to understand it too at the same time, because it really seemed almost impossible.
Yeah, it still is to me. Like, not a day goes by that I don't think about this, and I just cannot understand what happened at all. I think it's going to be just a mystery to me for the rest of my life. What happened that night?
Mm-hmm. Well, take us back to that night and kind of, I guess, maybe kind of take us back a little bit before to when it actually, before it happened, but when it kind of, how it built up to something that people would recognize as a possible glitch in the Matrix.
Okay. Well, since I was probably about 16 or 17 years old, so we're going back, a little over 20 years, mm-hmm. I've had people like calling me and accusing me of being in different places, telling me that they have had a conversation with me. There was one time in particular, my son's dad, long before my son was born, but he called me extremely irate that apparently I had left his 70-something-year-old grandfather at a mechanic shop, and that I had promised to pick him up. He was going to drop his car off to have his transmission fixed, and I was a no-show. And I have no idea what he's even talking about at all. And this was like kind of when it all started happening, and people would see, they said it was me driving around, just places that I knew I wasn't at, because like I had been at work or I had been doing, something else at the time. Okay. But they swore it was me because, the person was driving the same car, looked just like me, whatnot, Okay,
so now, do you have a recognizable car?
Yeah, I pretty much always have. Okay. I kind of have a tendency towards beaters and older cars, things that I can work on myself. Okay. But yeah, I mean, back then I think I had like a 92 Cavalier, and this thing was like bright like a green blue color. And it was really pretty, but I mean, it was obvious, and nobody else had a car that looked anything like that at all. Okay,
so like a bright teal looking.
Yeah, and it was, and the thing was that it had stickers on the back of it too. Like I had Betty Boop stickers all over the back, and there was one in particular that I found somewhere I thought was hilarious. It said, "I still miss my ex, but my aim is improving." That was like dead center on the back of the bumper. And, so it was, you could tell it was my car. Like there was just no doubt it was my car. And, and it was just, several people saying that, hey, I saw you here. I saw you there. Why were you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why did you say you would do this and you didn't? And I have no clue what they're talking about, and,
Now, real quick, going back to your ex then, now he mentioned, that you were supposed to take it, or you did take? You dropped off his...
No, I was supposed to pick him up.
You're supposed to pick him up?
His grandfather was driving up to the transmission place and dropping his truck off, and I was supposed to meet him up there and pick him up. Okay. And this conversation never happened. Like, I had no clue. But it wasn't just him. It was his grandfather, his grandmother. They were adamant that, yes, I did have this conversation with them. And I'm like, I would think I remember that.
So when they say that you had the conversation, they physically had it with you? It was over the phone? Or was it?
I honestly, I can't remember to this day.
Okay, but they were all there. They were all present, and they all knew.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's... And, and I mean, it was a point of contention for a while between us, because he just thought I was flat out lying, and I'm like, I have absolutely no clue what you were talking about whatsoever. But
now, on the other side of things too, do you mind if I ask you like how your health is? Have you ever had any type of maybe like a memory lapse or anything like that at all?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
No, I mean,
so
I've
things come to you pretty clearly, right? You're pretty sharp on things, and okay.
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, I've been in a few car accidents before or anything, but never like any type of head trauma or anything like that. Nothing. Nothing major at all.
So nothing physical's happened to you. You've had no health problems that relate to that could have a side effect of memory loss or anything like that. Okay.
Nope.
Okay. You stay pretty healthy. I'm sure you eat a great diet. I'm sure you take your vitamins, right?
For the most part,
okay. Well, I just want to try to rule out a couple things, because people listening and people watching are probably going to start asking the same questions. Because some people, it's like they believe that there's glitches that happen in this reality, but at the same time, they don't know. And so I want to cover all bases, especially before we get into the big story.
Right. And, honestly, before this happened, I kind of, danced around like the Mandela Effect, things like the Berenstain Bears, like, of course I remember that. But if you would have said anything about like we're living in a simulation, glitches and Matrix stuff, and I'm just like, I would have just been like, dude, you watch way too many movies. Just stop.
Yeah. Okay.
Just stop.
So speaking of the Mandela Effect, a lot of times people will start to think in terms, even if it's not that we live in a simulation, but maybe there's a separate dimension, and this dimension is probably parallel to ours, probably has similar things that we're doing within it. Therefore, you have the same car, but you just happen to make a different turn maybe one day. So you ended up going down a street that somebody saw you on, right? Which is a good explanation.
Right.
But that these dimensions are being merged together. One interesting fact is that the Mandela Effect started in 2009, and that is the same year that they turned on the Hadron Collider, which everybody's been essentially accusing of causing this issue.
Right. And yeah, I actually, I didn't know that, but I guess I could make sense.
So when did these events take place for you?
99, 2000,
really?
and going forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that takes us then a little bit before the collider was turned on. It takes us before the Mandela Effect really started to become a thing. So something happened to you that essentially, so it predates pretty much everything by 10 years.
Yeah.
Just about. Now, has this always happened to you? And have you had anything recently?
I mean, I've always had like paranormal things happen to me my whole life, but more in the sense of phantom footsteps, door handles turning, doors opening, closing, things like that.
Sure.
Like, but it never anything like this. This is, and honestly, for years, I just thought people were just, either completely mistaken or, just like, just wanting to pick a fight for whatever reason, had an issue going on that day and whatever. But, and it was weird because after probably my teenage years, it didn't happen again for quite some time.
Okay.
And I mean, it may be off and on like over the years or whatever, but really it wasn't until shortly before the accident.
Okay. So when did the accident take place?
It was November of this past year, 2001.
Oh, okay. So this the accident really is the most recent thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was shortly before that I mean, I would say 2-3 weeks before that I had several people actually tell me that they had seen me out somewhere. I mean, look, calling me in real time. I had somebody actually call me in real time and ask me if that was me that he was looking at the gas station. And I'm like, I'm sitting in bed, like I was just asleep, what's up? Like, and I was actually in the frame of mind. I was like, hey, go up to her and talk to her. Like, put her on the phone. I want to talk to this person. And he's like, and his answer was like, no, that's really weird. I'm leaving. Because
really?
he said that, yeah, he said whoever this person was, like, he had called my name and they completely ignored him, but he said this person was acting really strange. Like, that was part of the reason that he called me, was because he thought it was me and he thought it was really weird that I would just, like, A, ignore him, and B, just, have you heard of, like, NPCs, I think they're called?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the like non-player characters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That was pretty much how he described me being.
That's really interesting.
That was what really freaked me out about it.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows then who's listening, a non-player character is somebody in a game that is not the main character. They're a background character. So they're programmed to do minimal things. And you'll see them as, if you're playing like a first-person type game, you'll see them as just walking in specific or random orders, and they're not really doing much. They look very robotic. I think people need to understand that these non-player characters are almost mindless zombies in a way. And I think that that's what he was trying to say then. If it's a NPC, he's trying to say that person was exhibiting that type of behavior.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the way he described. I mean, I can't remember exactly verbatim what he said, but to me, that was like in my mind, that was what he was explaining to me.
Okay.
Because I mean, I heard my kids are play games. My boys do, so it's like I heard the term before, and especially in those forums with glitch in the matrix and stuff. I started hearing it more and more, and when he said that was what kind of like rang a bell in my head, and I was like, okay, this is really weird. But it was more too that he was so freaked out about even just going up to her and like taking a picture from 20 feet away or something, real sly like he just wouldn't do it.
Okay.
He was just like, nope, I'm out of here.
So he felt uneasy then. So something was giving him an uneasy feeling about it. Anyway, he had called you. I'm assuming that person was still there when he was on the phone with you.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this the same day that the accident happened then?
No.
Okay.
No.
This
this was maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks before the accident.
Okay.
Now there was another one with a different friend about 3 weeks. So I mean, these were about like a week to a week and a half apart. Okay. That he had said that he had saw me at the park by his house, and he was calling out to me over and over again, and that I just looked over and just like didn't even like acknowledge him or anything, didn't say nothing, just kept going about my business. But that it was also weird that it was just like I was just like a zombie, like just kind of milling about, like not really doing much of anything. And he just said he just let it be. And the next time I had seen him, I mean, he swore up, down, right, and left that was me. He said I was driving. I had the vehicle I had the accident with. It was a 2001, a gold 2001 Chrysler Town and Country. He said it was the exact same van.
Really?
Color and everything. And that's why he was so adamant that it was me. And I'm just sitting here like, dude, you live like 20 minutes away from me. Like, why would I go to a park by your house and by myself at that? I live right outside of St. Louis. In North St. Louis County. he lives right by Lambert Airport. Like,
Okay.
I mean, literally stone's throw from the airport. I live right next to Ferguson.
Okay.
So it's about a 15-minute, 20-minute drive, kind of straight shot down Lindbergh. You have to go through the tunnel. They put a tunnel right at the airport, but it's pretty much straight shot. Now the other friend of mine who saw me, he was a little bit closer, but I didn't even think about this at the time. They were both right by the airport. Like, I mean, right by the airport.
Really?
Like, one of them lives on one side of it, and the other one lives on the other side of the airport. The one, the second friend, the one who saw me at the gas station, he's the closer to me. But yeah, both of them are kind of like a straight shot, just down different streets. Because I live on a main street that intersects with another main street. So I mean, it was just a normal day. Like, I mean, I went and picked up my son from school, around 3:30. Came back, did. I honestly don't remember. Made him dinner, did whatever. We did blah blah. My friend got off work at I want to say between like 5:30 and 6, and she ran back to her house, grabbed her daughter. I think if I remember correctly, somehow they ended up over around at my house like around 6:15. And then we both left. We were going back to her house to do something. She was parked behind me. She left first. A couple minutes. I talked to my mom for a couple of minutes, and then I got in my car and left. She was, with the traffic and everything, she was probably about 6 blocks ahead of me. Because when maybe about 8 or so. Because when I turned onto the street, she was actually pulling up to the intersection where the accident happened, and there's a gas station on that corner. And she was telling me, she goes, "Hey, I'm stopping at the gas station real quick." She goes, "I just wanted to let you know," because she lives on the left side of the street, so we would be turning left into her driveway. She goes, "Get over in the right-hand lane. There's an accident blocking the left-hand lane up here at this intersection." And I'm like, okay. I put the phone down, and the intersection that I'm going through is about six blocks or so from the intersection where the accident happened. I set the phone next to me. I look up, I see the light, and the light at the intersection, and that's the last thing I remember. Next thing I know, I don't know how to explain this other than, like, when you see the movies, like somebody's drowning or somebody's died and they're, trying to resuscitate them, and all of a sudden there's like, like,
right.
That was exactly what it felt like. It felt like my soul being sucked back into my body, like that maybe I had forgot to breathe for a minute or something like that. And then all of a sudden, like, I came back too. But it was more than that. It was like, I still struggle to find the words to explain the feeling that I felt in that moment. And it wasn't because it was like, oh my God, what happened? Like, I just got hit doing, like 50 miles an hour. It was, I just don't know. I just don't know how to explain it. I really don't.
It's like I don't know if I jumped through like a wormhole or something, but when Amanda, my friend, her and her daughter went through this intersection, okay, there were already fire department and everything at this accident. So it had already, happened several minutes before either one of us was on that street. And that was, she was like, you need to go over the right lane. She's like, it's weird. It looks just like your van. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, a lot of people, still have these vans. They're great vans. They're beasts. They run forever. But,
yeah, but at the same time, the van that you had was not very common, correct? Because if it's just more recently, if you're saying that this happened last November,
yeah,
you think a lot of people have your van?
Not a lot, but you'd be surprised how many people actually do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not really an uncommon thing. You know,
Okay.
plus maybe not so much my exact one, but if memory serves me correctly, Chrysler didn't really change the town and country too much over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, even different year models, they still look pretty similar.
Sure. They're really similar to the Dodge Grand Caravan, I believe, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. They're pretty much, I would say, close to identical.
Okay.
Some of them at least.
Okay. So they had the same color, but your friend said that it was you.
Yeah. Well, she didn't say it was you. She didn't say it was me. She didn't see me.
Okay.
But she said it looked exactly like my van.
Okay. Okay. But then you felt like you were in that accident, or not that you felt, but you were there.
I was there.
You were there.
I was there. Yeah. I set the phone down. I remember looking up at the light and the street name. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I know, I am in that accident. Like, just got hit. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like I said, it felt like my soul had been sucked into my body. And, you know, I've had some people say to me, and I'd thought this before about like quantum immortality. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that I've wondered about that a lot. You know, that did this person that all these people have been seeing, was she the one who got into the accident and then she died, mm-hmm. and I got blipped over or something?
Mm-hmm. How would you describe to somebody, like, what is your opinion on what you experienced? Do you think that there's a glitch in the Matrix, or do you think that?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I mean, you know, because there's so many different aspects. If it had just been one thing that happened, mm-hmm. this thing or that thing, like being at one intersection and then being in another in an accident that happened 10, 15 minutes beforehand, mm-hmm. you know, maybe I drove into a wormhole or something, sure. you know, or if I had been through the whole thing, drove down there, been in the accident and felt like I died, but then I all of a sudden wasn't, mm-hmm. okay, maybe that's, you know, the quantum immortality part.
When you were driving, how close were you to the accident?
I never actually saw it. I was about 6 blocks away.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had, she actually drove by it and saw it. Her and her daughter did. And that was when they called me, and I hung up. I was still 6 blocks back at a totally different intersection. And literally the next thing I know, in an absolute split second, I was in that accident. Wow.
Okay. So what happened after you were in the accident?
Well, my left leg was pinned. They had to, you know, pull a bunch of stuff out to get me out of there. The windshield was on top of me.
Right. You're talking about like the paramedics and.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I got pulled out and taken to the hospital.
Okay.
I was in the hospital for the better part of the night. Luckily, I'd only broken my toe, broke my ankle. I had a ton of, just basically from my neck on down was black. Just, I mean, my entire torso, my legs, both of my knees, I still have nerve damage. I have scars just everywhere. I mean, it was one of those, like, how did you survive that type of deals?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to put the pieces of this puzzle together here. So essentially, so what happened after the accident then? So you were in the hospital. How long were you in the hospital for? And I'm speaking to this actual presence, right? So your body right now.
Yeah.
in the accident?
I was in there for, I'd say, about 8 hours, I guess. You know, and that was the thing. Like, I mean, they ran all their tests, X-rays, this and that. Put my ankle and my foot in a plaster cast and sent me about my way. Like, it wasn't. It was more like a lot of skin and, you know, tissue damage, stuff like that. It wasn't. The only bones that got broke was my ankle and my toe.
So what did your friend say?
She couldn't. She was just in as much disbelief as me.
So
like,
essentially,
she came over.
She saw the accident that was 6 blocks away.
Yeah.
Thought it was you. Called you, correct? Or
no. She knew it wasn't me. She knew I was behind her. She goes, oh, it's just weird. It looks like your van.
Okay.
And she went to the gas station, you know, did her business, went home, and she was because her house is 2 blocks from the gas station. So, you know, you go through the intersection and 2 blocks, there's her house. So she's standing on the driveway waiting for me, and I don't show up, and I don't show up, and I don't show up. Well, one of the people who had stopped, and I was like, hey, go get my best friend. She's over at the gas station across the street. Go get her, you know. And they're like, nobody's over there. You know, nobody, you know, I couldn't find her. So they grabbed my phone and called her, and she showed back up, and she was in complete disbelief. She did not, like, she came over at 3:00 in the morning that night when I got out of the hospital to talk to me. And, you know, and be like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
You know, like she goes, I passed that accident while I was on the phone with you. And the paramedic, you know, the fire department, they were already there, you know, and whoever was in the accident was already gone. You know, like there was, you know, the people who got in the accident were already gone, like in the ambulance, and they were just like cleaning it up.
Did she describe then that accident being exactly the same as yours?
Yes. It was a 2-car accident. It was my gold van and a black 4-door sedan.
So even the car that hit you was exactly the same.
Yep. Yeah. Like I honestly don't know how to how to describe, how to understand it, other than did I drive through a wormhole and come back out 15 minutes earlier? You know, because for me, it was a split second between the time that I went through one intersection and then wound up in that accident. There was no, I did not drive those 6 blocks.
But did you see, and you saw the street sign?
From the intersection that I was in when I was on the phone with her.
Right.
Not the one where the accident was.
Okay. So do you think that maybe it wasn't even something that was really a glitch, but maybe even like a time, like you said, a wormhole? Does that
right?
So just something like just something where time just, I don't know, you just slipped somehow.
Yeah, I mean that's honestly that's the.
But with you slipping into that accident, your friend who was in front of you, correct? Mm-hmm. Ended up seeing the accident because she pulled up to the accident.
The accident had already happened when she drove by.
Yeah, and it had already happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. That's. I think it's hard for. I'm just trying to put a visual on this. Is that? Did she call you about the accident?
Yeah.
Yeah, she called you about the accident, right? Okay. So she called.
That was part of the reason she called me.
She called you. She's like, "This is the weirdest thing. I just saw, a van that looked like yours was in an accident, and that was before the accident that took place with you. But it's the same exact accident." And so, do you believe that there are 2 separate accidents, or do you believe that was your accident?
No, there was one accident. That was it.
Yeah. Okay.
There was not 2 accidents. There was one, and it was mine.
Okay.
Because I mean, there would have
That's bizarre.
Yeah, there would have been no way for them to have gotten all that cleaned up and, out of the way in I mean, because it only takes about 20 seconds to drive from the intersection I was at to the one where the accident was. Maybe 20, maybe 30 seconds, give or take, with traffic. But definitely not enough time for them to have cleaned up the street, gotten 2 cars onto tow trucks, gotten, police and fire trucks out of there.
How long did it take for them to get you out of the vehicle?
I'm actually not sure. I don't think it was too long. I was in so much pain.
Did you black out at all?
Yeah. Afterward, I did several times. I did.
Was it only you in the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was. I like I said, my body was beat from the neck down. I had a big gash right here from the seatbelt. My entire torso was black. Both of my legs. I probably will never be able to. I can barely squat. Like if I have to pick something up off the floor, that's really hard for me to do.
And I just
kind of if I could.
And I'm sorry, I just want to be clear. The intersection was the same intersection, correct? So where you had the accident was the same intersection that your friend saw the accident.
Yep.
Everything's the same. Mm-hmm. She was ahead of you before the accident, told you to get over into another lane, right?
Yep.
To avoid the oncoming accident. It was at that moment, roughly, then, that you went through whatever this was, essentially.
We finished our conversation. I hung up the phone, and next thing I know, I am in an accident. I am in an accident, and I am 6 blocks away from where I was a split second ago. And
you don't even know what time it was, because it just happened instantly for you.
Yeah.
So you don't even know what time that accident actually happened, because you could have slipped into, like you said, like a wormhole, or something might have happened to where you went back in time.
Yes, exactly. But
into that intersection, and that's probably why that black 4-door sedan hit you, because you just appeared out of nowhere, right?
Yeah. No, actually, what had happened was they were turning. They were on the street that intersects with it, and I guess originally she had wanted to go straight. And then decided at the last minute to turn right.
Okay.
And you know how there's those triangular dividers between the lane going straight and the lane turning right. There's usually a crosswalk thing on them.
Sure.
Her car jumped over that and busted her catalytic converter off because it was laying about 75 to 100 feet away from the accident, back on the other street. Because I was in the left turn lane because I was just going to drive around the neighborhood just to kind of kill time so she wouldn't be blocking me in when I pulled into her driveway. And she came down that street and around that turn, jumped that curb and hit me doing about 45, 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, right on the driver's side.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why it pinned your left leg.
Uh-huh.
And then the windshield came down and everything else. And then, so it's bizarre. I mean, that is a bizarre story. That really is.
Yeah. Imagine living it.
Yeah.
I say not a day goes by, but I'm talking several times a day. And
it's really just you and your friend who
and her daughter
know this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time I've tried to tell somebody about this,
they probably don't believe you. I bet.
Oh no, they look at me like I have 7 heads.
Yeah.
And even my own mom, she's like, she could lie for you. I'm like, why would her daughter though? Her daughter. Her daughter's not going to lie for anybody.
Okay, so you have 2 witnesses essentially. On the side of seeing the vehicle before the accident. So, okay, so your friend and her daughter. Now, at the same time, why would they lie for you? But why would anybody lie about that? Does that make sense? Why would somebody
Right. 'Cause it's not like I can go to the insurance company and tell them that.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
Like,
No, I get that. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I honestly, like, for a while, I was afraid to even say anything to anybody because I'm like, they are legit going to lock me up for this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be on a funny farm for the rest of my life.
Right. Right. But I can't even imagine what you went through at that moment to just hear about that accident right at that same intersection from your friend, only to just be, in a sense, teleported to the accident, be in the accident. You were physically there. Your body was physically hurt. And then everything was the same. Everything was the same. This is it's bizarre.
Yeah.
It really is
and the
bizarre.
thing was that, like, the people who stopped, you know, nobody knew what happened. It was almost as if, like, nobody saw it. You know, like, it was just there and it just happened. You know,
Really?
it was just, just like I said, everything around this, just none of it made sense.
So
at all, nothing about it does.
Going back to the whole time travel theory on this, did anybody have missing time? So did your friend or her daughter have any kind of missing time at all?
Nope, not to my knowledge.
Okay, so they saw that accident. They told you about it. They got off the phone, and then they were supposed to meet you at the gas station, correct?
No, she was stopping at the gas station.
She was
just letting me know. Yeah, she was just letting me know that she was going to be, you know, essentially a few minutes behind me.
Okay, and then she went on to her house. Okay.
Yeah, and she was standing on the driveway waiting for me for probably a good at least 10 minutes or so before somebody finally found my phone and called her.
I see. So from the time that she called you, she hung up, she went to that same gas station. So that probably took about 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
She.
Then she went to her home.
Yep. Went home, waited for me.
That was about 10 minutes. So we're looking at maybe 20 to 30 minutes, possibly, give or take, from the time that she had called you about the accident to the time that she found out that you were the accident.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Probably about that.
Okay. Wow. I mean, that's that's really interesting. That you know, what's really interesting about that is the fact that you weren't in the van when she saw it.
Right. Yeah. She did not see anybody.
Okay. But I'm gonna go a step further here. But then you had mentioned to somebody, not the person who pulled you out of the car, correct?
I don't.
It was somebody, but you mentioned to them about your friend to go tell your friend.
Yeah.
Call your friend.
Yeah. It was another woman that stopped.
Okay. So you would have had to have still been at the accident. You would have had to have still been at the accident in order to call the friend, but then that person who called, that conversation, do you see, I guess, do you see where I'm trying to go at? Like, I don't know if you jumped time or your friend also jumped time, if that makes sense. Because for her to see that you weren't in there at all, because she looked at she said, oh, that's the same van, but you weren't in the van. Nobody was in the van.
Right.
And it was hit by a black 4-door sedan.
Yeah.
She explained everything okay. So from that point in time to her 20 to 30 minutes later getting that phone call, that wouldn't have made sense if time was linear. But time's not linear in this case. Okay, so in this sense, it's not linear. We're looking at this weird time jump that probably even affected your friend's daughter, and affected the conversation that she had with the person at the scene of the accident. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah, it really is. And like the only thing that we could think of, as far as like why or how it would have affected both of us, I guess is just maybe because we're so close. Mm-hmm. You know, we've been friends for over 20 years, and we see each other almost every single day. Mm-hmm. You know, like I mean, honestly, like I put my best friend on there, just for, context or whatever. But I mean, really, like I call her my sister, because I mean, that's pretty much what she is to me. And that's what I am to her. Like we're the type of friends, like we finish each other's each other's sentences. And,
but she was on the same, she was driving on the same street as you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we could also maybe chalk it up to something happened on that street as well, too.
That could be.
Okay. So something also could have happened to where maybe she jumped a little bit into the future before she got to that location. That's why she saw your van there. Mm-hmm. But that was already after they had removed you from the van. That way she didn't see you, in there.
Yeah, exactly.
But then the conversation that went from her cell phone to your cell phone, because you're behind on the same street coming up, she's telling you to avoid that accident. Mm-hmm. To start getting over. I've done that before. I'm sure a lot of people have done that. When you're following somebody, and not really following, but if you're all going to the same place, it's like, hey, if you're coming down the street, watch out for, whatever's happening on the road.
Right.
To avoid the traffic. Yeah,
because, and that's the thing. It was like, I remember making, the conscious decision, okay, I'm going to put my, blinker on. I need to get over. Yeah. But I never got the chance to do that. Yeah. Because I wasn't going to do it in the middle of the intersection that I was going through. I was going to go through the intersection and then put my blinker on and get over. And then somehow I end up 6 blocks away in the left-hand turn lane to turn onto a different street in an accident. Mm-hmm. So, because it's like, I by all means should have gotten over into the right lane and shouldn't have been anywhere near that accident. As far as, which lane it was in or whatever, like, so that didn't, it's just so much about it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, I really do appreciate you coming on and sharing this story, because we have to look at it as something, I mean, we're going to chalk it up to something very bizarre, but at the same time, hardly explainable, because we cannot explain this at all. This cannot be explained by just any kind of rational, logical thinking, or at the same time, we could try to go into some weird, like you and I just did, talking about wormholes, maybe crossing dimensions, maybe time travel. My gosh, there's so many things, glitches in the Matrix, all these things that we're trying to make sense of it, but at the same time, it's so hard to make sense of it. I understand it, but it's still difficult to make sense of. I want to thank you for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. We talk about a lot of crazy stuff here, so if you want to hear more, just like and subscribe to the channel. It'd really help us out a lot. And plus, if you have a crazy story, whether it be an alien abduction, near-death experience, or something of the paranormal, or a glitch in the Matrix, please let us know. Share it in the comments. We'd love to have you on the show.